Hi guys, my name is Ms. Belts and I am excited to say that I get to work with math with you for the next little bit. So let's go ahead and get started. So here is what we are going to do today. And I know it looks like a lot, it's really not that bad. So what are we going to do? We are going to compose and decompose numbers up to 100,000 as a sum of so many 10,000s, so many thousands, so many hundreds, so many tens, and so many ones using expanded notation. We're going to talk about that word in a minute. How are we going to do this? Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to review what it means to compose and decompose a number. We are going to review expanded notation and how we can use expanded form to help us determine expanded notation. We are going to practice decomposing numbers by place value and representing them with expanded notation and place value disks. Why are we going to do this? Well, it's important to understand the value of each digit that is used to make a number. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at some vocabulary. These are important words so that they can help us with our learning for today. So the first word we have is compose. When you compose, you put pieces together. So I want you to do this with me. Say compose, put together. Compose, put together. Let's do it one more time. Compose, put together. The other word that we're going to look at, or another word we're going to look at, is decompose. So when we decompose, we take pieces apart. So I want you to do the same thing, but we're going to do it the opposite. So we're going to start with our whole, and we're going to say decompose, take apart. Let's try it with me. Decompose, take apart. One more time. Decompose, take apart. Now, there's two other words on here that are actually very important, and they're going to help us with our learning today. So the first one is expanded form. Oops, sorry. Expanded form is when you have an expression and it breaks your numbers into each place value. So the example they have is 294. With the expanded form, you're going to break it into place value. So I have 200s, so that gives me my 200. I have 9 tens, that gives me my 90, and I have 4 ones, which gives me 4. And if I was to put all three of these together, it would give me back to 294. Now the other one that I have is expanded notation. And expanded notation is really important because it is also an expression, but it's another way that you can write it by breaking up its place value and multiplying each digit by that place value. So again, we have 294. Just like we talked about before, I have 200s. This time when I have my 200, you'll notice that it doesn't just have 200 by itself. It says 2, because that was what was in my place value chart for the hundreds place, times 100. And it's in its own parentheses because it's its own part. And then I'm going to say plus 9, because I have a 9 in the tens place, times 10, because it is in the tens place, plus 4 times 1, because it is in the ones place. Again, if I actually did all of this math, 2 times 100 is 200. 9 times 10 is 90. 4 times 1 is 4. So it gets me back to 294. So what we're going to do today is we are going to look at some different numbers. We are going to decompose them by their place value. We are going to use a math tool called place value disks, and it's going to help us with expanded form and expanded notation. So I hope you're as excited about this as I am. So here we go. The first number that we are going to look at is 6,482. And my question to you is, what would the expanded form be for this number? So before I move to the next slide, I want you to think about that. What would the expanded form be? Think about what expanded form actually means. So I'm going to give you a second. And we are going to actually look at it. So when I have a number, the first thing I'm going to do is put it in a place value chart. So I am going to start at my ones place. So I go ones, tens, 100, comma, 1,000, 10,000, and it can continue. For this number, we didn't have to make it continue. So my number was 6,482, and it is in my place value chart. So I have 6,000s, 400s, 8 tens, and 2 ones. Now that it's in the place value chart, I want to know what it looks like in expanded form. So I'm going to use the place value chart to help me. So I have 6,000s. So if I was to put all 6,000s together, it would equal 6,000. I'm going to add that with my hundreds. So I have 400. So if I had 400s, I actually have 400 plus 8 tens. Well, if I count by tens 8 times, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, I'm going to get 80 plus 2 ones. So if I have 2 ones and I put them together, I get my 2. So that's what it would look like as an expanded form. So let's see what we have next. Oops. The next thing that we have are our place value discs. And I'm going to move my camera out of the way a little bit. Place value discs are very helpful whenever we don't have base 10 models. We can use place value discs to still model our number. So with a place value disc, the way that it works is you have a shape. I'm using rectangles. Sometimes you might see them as a circle, which is why it's called a disc. And you actually write one for each of the place that you see. So I have 6,000. So here you will see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 thousands of my place value discs. Then I have 400. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 400s. I then have 8 tens. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I have 2 ones, 1, 2. And if I was to add all of those together, I would still get back to the same number of 6,482. So my question is, using both of these pieces of information, how could I write this number in expanded notation? Now remember, expanded notation is when we use our place value chart and our expanded form to actually write each number by its digit times its place. So I can use my place value discs to help me with that. So let's see what that would look like. So I need to move my camera again. So I'm going to move it way over here. So this says, with the place value discs, put the number in expanded notation. So again, I have it in expanded form to show that they all are related. 6,000 plus 400 plus 80 plus 2. Well, I'm going to use my place value discs to help me to write out my expanded notation. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's my 6 times whatever place was in my place value discs. So this was the thousands. So then I'm going to write 1,000, and I'm going to write it as a number, not as a word, plus the next number, which was 400. Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 hundreds. So I'm going to write the 4 right there. I'm going to say times 100 because these are all the hundreds place. Plus 8 or 80. So then I got to figure out what my place value is, or how many tens I actually have. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's my 8 times 10 because it is in the tens place. Plus 2, 1, 2 times 1 because they are in the ones place. So this is how you would write this number in expanded notation. Again, you're able to use expanded form to help you. You're able to use your place value chart, which is not on the screen. And you're also able to use the place value discs to help you with that. So that being said, let's try another example. This one's going to be a little bit harder, and that's okay. We're just going to add one more place to it, but we're going to do the same process. So what would the expanded form be for this number? So first, let's think about how to say this number. So I'm going to say the first 2 digits first. So 7, 5. So 75. 5 is in the thousands place. So 75,000 And then I'm going to say the last three digits, 329. So 329. So this number is 75,329. So I want you to think for a moment, what would this number be in expanded form? Let's see if you're correct. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to start putting it in a place value chart. This time my place value chart goes from 1 all the way to 10,000. So 1, 10, 100, comma, 1,000, 10,000. And I just wrote my number in with each place value. So I had 7 10,000s, 5,000s, 300s, 2 10s, 9 1s. Now that it's in the place value chart, I wanted to see what it would look like as expanded form. So I actually wrote it in expanded form. I asked you to think about what it would be. So is this what you thought of? I hope so. If not, that's okay. We're going to keep learning about it. So I have 7 10,000s. Well, if I counted by 10,000s, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, 60,000, 70,000, I'm going to get 70,000 plus I have 5,000s. So if I count by thousands, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, there's my 5,000 plus my hundreds. I have 300s, 100, 200, 300. There's my 300 plus 2 10s. So I'm going to count by tens, 10, 20. There's my 20 plus 9 ones. So I'm going to count by ones until I get to 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is what it would look like in expanded form. Now we're going to continue to move forward, but now we're going to use place value discs again. And remember, those just help us to model our number. And we're going to use that to help us with expanded notation. So let's see what it would look like with place value discs. I'm going to move my camera. So it says, how can we use expanded form and place value discs to help with expanded notation? So again, you will notice that I have my place value chart because it's very important. And again, it's still all broken up into each individual place value. I still have my expanded form, which is what we just worked on. Now I'm going to use this and I'm going to actually use my place value discs to build it. So I had 7 10,000. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the seventh one is hidden under this bar. But there are 7 there. Then I have 5,000. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the fifth one again is hidden under this bar. Next one is hundreds. So 300. 1, 2, 3. There's my third 100. 2 10s. 1, 2. And then my 9 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now the next thing that we're going to do is put this number into expanded notation. So I want you to think about how using these place value discs could help you with expanded notation. So I'm going to give you 10 seconds to think about that. How could place value discs help us with expanded notation? I'm excited to hear what your answers were. So let's actually use these place value discs to build our expanded notation. So, and that's what my question says. How can we use expanded form and place value discs to help with expanded notation? So again, I have my expanded form that we worked on a couple of slides ago. And now you will see my expanded notation. So we are going to use our place value discs to figure out each of our digits times the place value. So I know that I have 7 10,000. So there's my 7 times 10,000. And I'm going to add that with my thousands. So then I'm going to count my thousands. There's 5 of them. Look, there's my 5 times 1,000 because that's what place I'm working in. Plus 3, 1, 2, 3. There's my 3 place value discs for the hundreds. So 3 times 100 because they were for the hundreds place. Excuse me. Then I have 1, 2, 10s. So there's my 2 times 10 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's my 9 times 10. Oh, this is my mistake. This should say 1. So let's fix that really quick. My mistake. So it should say times 1. So let's go back to our big screen so we can see everything, because I know there's a lot of information on this screen. So when you are working on expanded form or expanded notation, place value discs are super helpful because you're able to have that picture or that model to represent the number. So let's review what we talked about today. Today we worked on composing and decomposing numbers up to 100,000 as a sum of so many 10,000s, so many thousands, so many hundreds, so many tens, and so many ones using expanded notation. We also used expanded form and place value discs. How did we do this? Well, we reviewed what it means to compose and decompose a number with our vocabulary. We reviewed expanded notation and how we can use expanded form to help us determine expanded notation. And we also practiced decomposing numbers by place value and representing them with expanded notation and place value discs. And why we did that? Well, it's important for us to understand the value of each digit that is used to make a number. Now it's going to be your turn. So in a minute, I'm going to show you what I would like you to work on. You are going to decompose numbers exactly the same way we just did. You are going to use a place value chart. You are going to use place value discs. You're going to actually draw them, and I'm going to show you how to do that. You're going to put the number in expanded form and then finally in expanded notation. I know this looks like a lot, but if you go step by step, I know that you're going to do a great job. So let's look at what I would like you to do. So you are going to get a page that looks like this. There are going to be 4 problems. So there's going to be some on the front and some on the back. So make sure you do all 4 of them. So here's what it says. You're going to put your name. So I would put Mrs. Belts. The directions. Here's what it says. For each number, write the number in a place value chart. Model it with place value discs. Write it in expanded form and expanded notation. For place value discs, you can use this key so that you do not have to write the entire place value name. I don't want you to worry about having to write the name and taking your time, but I want you to worry about the math part of it and being able to use this helpful tool. So if you are going to use the place value discs for 1, instead of writing 1 O-N-E, you just have to put an O for 1. For 10, you're just going to put a T. For 100, you're going to put an H. For 1,000, you're going to put a TH. And for 10,000, you're going to put a TTH. So let's look at an example. So the first example is 10,369. So the first thing that it says I have to do is put this number in my place value chart. So I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to say 10 thousands, there's a 1. My thousands place is a 0. My hundreds place, there's a 3. My tens place, there's a 6. My ones place, there's a 9. So I've used my number that was in standard form and I've put it into my place value chart. Now I'm going to use place value discs. Okay, so we are going to see how to use our place value discs. So I have 1 10,000, so I'm going to grab 1 10,000 and I'm going to bring it down here. This one's a little bit tricky because I have 0 thousands. So since I have 0 thousands, I don't actually have to bring anything down. So I'm going to leave that part blank. Next one is hundreds. I need 3 hundreds. So I'm going to go grab 3 hundreds. 1, 2, 3. Next one says 6 tens. So I'm going to grab 6 of these. 1. Whoops. Formatting's being a little funny. Sorry, guys. 1, 2. No, not there. 3, 4, 5, 6. The last one says 9, 1, so I'm going to grab 9 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now, I know mine is a little spread out, and it's because me and the computer are having a couple of technical difficulties, but that's okay. You are going to do the same thing, and I know that yours is going to look much neater and nicer than mine. So there are my place value discs, so I'm going to get rid of that so that I know it's up there. So there are my place value discs modeling my number. And then I'm going to use that, and I'm going to build my number in expanded form. So remember, expanded form is where I write the value of each one. So I have 1, 10,000. So I'm going to say 10,000 plus, remember this one was tricky. I didn't have any thousands, so I don't have to put anything there. So then I'm going to go to my next place. 300. So if I counted by hundreds, 100, 200, 300 plus 300 plus, now I'm going to count by tens. I have 6 of them. So if I count by tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 plus my ones. And if I count by ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is, this is what my number would look like in expanded form. Now remember, our goal for this is to get everything into expanded notation. So we are going to use our place value discs to help us. So I have 1, 10,000. So I'm going to start with an open parenthesis. I'm going to write 1 times the place it was, which was 10,000. Then I'm going to close my parenthesis, put a plus sign, and I'm going to go to the next place. Well, remember for this one, it's tricky. I don't have to use the 1,000. If you wanted to, you could. You could put 0 times 1,000, and that would still give you the same value. You don't have to. Then I'm going to move to my next one, which is 300s. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to say 3 times, and I was in the hundreds place, so 100, close parenthesis, plus, have 6 tens. So I'm going to do open parenthesis, 6 times, it was my tens place, 10, plus, have 9, so open parenthesis, 9 times, and it's my ones place. And then I'm going to put my close parentheses. So, excuse me, that is what you are going to do on your assignment. So make sure you try your very best. I know you're going to do amazing things, and I cannot wait to see what your work looks like. If you have any questions on what you have to do, please ask your teacher. Bye. I'll see you next week.